What if the weakness you feel isn't aging, but early dementia? What if this video shows you a way to stop it before it's too late? Welcome back to the Senior Health Podcast, where we bring you the latest insights and strategies for staying strong, mobile, and sharp as you age. In today's episode, we're tackling a topic that could change how you think about dementia. Over 6 million American seniors are living with dementia right now, and that number is expected to triple by 2050. The alarming truth is that most people are experiencing early signs of cognitive decline without even realizing it. Early detection is crucial, and time is running out to take action. Today's guest knows exactly which signs to look for, because he's over 100 years old, still walking daily, treating patients, and thriving with the power of food, tradition, and wisdom. No one is better equipped to guide us than someone who's seen over a century of health trends come and go and stayed strong through them all. Dr. Hinohara, it's an honor to have you back.
Thank you, John. It's always a pleasure to speak with you. And you're absolutely right. The signs of cognitive decline can be so subtle that they go unnoticed until it's too late. Today, we'll be diving into both the early and more advanced warning signs of dementia. We'll start with 6 signs that are often dismissed as just part of aging. Then we'll discuss 4 more advanced symptoms that signal a more serious decline. By the end of this episode, I hope our listeners will walk away with a new understanding of how to spot these signs early before it's too late. It's critical to stay informed because the power to prevent cognitive decline lies in our hands. Stick with us till the end, because the actions you take now could make all the difference in preserving your brain health for years to come.
It's fascinating to think that the signs could be so subtle, yet so impactful. So, let's start, Doctor. What are some of the most common signs that people often miss?
The first sign often goes unnoticed is simple as posture and movement. As the brain's control power starts to weaken, people may begin to walk with shorter steps, drag their feet, or experience difficulty performing everyday tasks like holding a cup or using utensils. These small, gradual changes are often brushed off as normal aging, but they can be early indicators of cognitive decline. Interestingly, I've seen these changes linked to early cognitive decline in my practice, but many dismiss them without realizing their significance.
It's fascinating to hear you speak about these early signs, especially since they seem so subtle at first. I remember a patient I treated not too long ago, a woman in her early 70s who came in complaining about her balance. She thought it was just age catching up with her, but as we dug deeper, we realized it was one of the early signs of cognitive decline. So, Doctor, what's the second early warning sign of dementia?
The second early sign of cognitive decline is the change in sensory perception. People often don't realize that as the brain starts to weaken, so does our ability to judge distances, perceive depth, or even differentiate between different textures. These changes can affect something as simple as walking downstairs, pouring a glass of water, or avoiding obstacles while walking, tasks that we take for granted every day.
That's a surprising connection, especially when you think about how much we rely on our senses to navigate the world. Could this lack of sensory awareness be more dangerous than we realize?
It certainly can be. Misjudging distances or not being able to see obstacles clearly can lead to falls or accidents, which are often written off as just getting older. However, these sensory impairments can also affect someone's confidence, making them hesitant to engage in physical activity and leading to further physical decline. A recent Japanese study found that sensory decline, particularly issues with depth perception, was strongly correlated with an increased risk of falls and mobility issues in older adults. This study highlights how early sensory impairments can contribute to a cycle of inactivity and further cognitive decline, emphasizing the importance of early intervention.
So it's not just about physical safety. It's also about the mental impact, isn't it?
Exactly. When the brain loses its ability to process sensory information accurately, it affects both the mind and the body. People start to retreat from activities they once enjoyed, like walking outside or driving, because they no longer feel safe. This isolation, in turn, can deepen cognitive decline and create a cycle that's difficult to break.
It's heartbreaking to think that something as basic as a change in how we see or feel the world around us can make such a profound impact. But these signs, while alarming, are just the beginning. We need to understand how these sensory changes and the potential loss of independence that follows fit into the bigger picture of cognitive decline. That brings us to the next point: muscle weakness, a condition that's often seen as part of aging but could be signaling something much deeper. Let's explore this further. What's the third early symptom of dementia that seniors often overlook?
The third warning sign is muscle weakness that is often dismissed. As we age, many people assume that weaker muscles simply come with the territory, but it's actually one of the strongest indicators of cognitive decline. The connection between the body's strength and brain health is stronger than most realize. Muscle weakness can signal a loss of neural function.
That's fascinating. It really changes how we think about staying active. Could muscle weakness be an early, overlooked clue to dementia?
Yes, it certainly can be. In fact, studies have shown that reduced grip strength and muscle mass in older adults are strongly correlated with an increased risk of dementia. As the brain weakens, it affects the ability to maintain and build muscle. And without regular physical activity, cognitive decline can accelerate.
So, muscle health is a reflection of brain health in many ways.
Exactly. The more we can maintain our physical strength, the better we protect our brain. When people experience muscle weakness, it's not just a physical issue. It can also be an early sign of neurodegeneration. This is why I always emphasize the importance of keeping muscles strong and active even in older age.
It's eye-opening to think of muscle weakness as a red flag for brain health. It's almost like your body and brain are signaling each other in subtle ways. But how can people know if this is a sign of something deeper or simply part of aging? It's important to recognize these early signs so we can take action before things worsen. Doctor, don't hold back now. We need to discover more. So tell us the remaining 3 signs at once before someone misses the warning.
All right, the next 3 signs are often subtle but just as critical. First is sleep disturbances, particularly in REM sleep, which can signal cognitive decline. People often experience vivid dreams, restless movements, or even act out their dreams, which is a red flag, especially in the early stages of dementia.
That's fascinating. But how can people tell if these sleep disturbances are part of aging or something more serious?
It's tricky, but when these disturbances start becoming more frequent and start interfering with daily life, it's time to pay closer attention. In fact, REM sleep issues are often one of the earliest indicators that the brain is struggling to properly function. Second, there's apathy and social withdrawal. As the brain weakens, people begin to lose interest in socializing or participating in activities they once enjoyed. This emotional detachment can be misinterpreted as depression, but is actually a result of the brain losing its ability to regulate emotions and social behavior. Finally, last is language difficulties, like aphasia, where individuals have trouble finding words or they start repeating themselves, which can also point to cognitive decline. These challenges with language often start slowly and get worse over time, making communication increasingly difficult.
That's alarming. Sleep disturbances, apathy, and language issues all seem so disconnected. But do they really tie into the same underlying cause?
Yes, they do. When the brain starts to deteriorate, it affects many aspects of life. Sleep disruptions interfere with the brain's ability to clear toxins. Apathy reflects a decline in emotional regulation, and language difficulties show how the brain struggles to process and communicate information. These signs are interconnected, and each one tells us that something is going wrong inside the brain.
It's hard to imagine how all of these symptoms, from sleep issues to emotional detachment, can stem from the same cause. These signs, though subtle, are all pointing toward the brain's slow decline. But as you said earlier, it's crucial to recognize them early on. Once these symptoms appear, it's not too late to intervene and slow down the progression of cognitive decline. But now that we've covered the 6 common signs of dementia, let's talk about 4 signs of advancing dementia.
As dementia advances, the symptoms become more difficult to ignore. One of the first major signs is memory loss that extends well beyond what's considered normal aging. It's the inability to remember recent conversations, appointments, or even familiar faces. Then there's trouble following conversations, where a person can get lost in the middle of a discussion or miss key points. Personality and mood changes are common as well, with individuals becoming more withdrawn, depressed, or agitated without clear reasons.
That's really concerning. When you see these changes, do you often see people begin to withdraw socially, or do they still try to maintain some level of interaction?
It's a mix. Some individuals try to continue their normal routines, but the struggle to keep up becomes exhausting. Others begin to withdraw more, particularly when they realize they're having trouble keeping up with conversations or remembering things. This withdrawal can worsen the sense of isolation and accelerate cognitive decline.
Is this when it's most critical for family and caregivers to step in?
Absolutely. Family members and caregivers can play a crucial role in noticing these changes and encouraging early intervention. While it's hard for the person experiencing it to recognize these shifts, support from loved ones is vital in making sure they get the help they need. It's the foundation of preventing further decline.
It's unsettling how these symptoms gradually take hold. Memory loss, difficulty communicating, and even personality shifts make daily life so much harder. These symptoms don't just affect the person with dementia. They ripple out to the family, the friends, and even the wider community. But as we continue to talk about this, it's important to highlight that these are just the beginning of a more advanced phase. What's the second sign of advanced dementia in seniors?
The second sign of advanced dementia is trouble with judgment and decision-making. At this stage, individuals may make poor decisions that they would have never considered before, such as giving away money, engaging in risky behaviors, or neglecting their personal hygiene. This lack of judgment is not out of laziness or rebellion. It's a result of the brain's diminished ability to assess risk or make appropriate choices.
That's eye-opening. So it's not just memory loss, but also the ability to process information and act on it appropriately.
Exactly. The brain no longer functions as it once did, which affects the ability to evaluate situations correctly. When someone begins making poor decisions, it's a sign that their cognitive abilities are deteriorating beyond simple memory loss. The entire decision-making process is affected.
So how does this affect relationships and daily interactions?
It can strain relationships, as family members and caregivers may find it hard to understand why their loved one is making these choices. Often, they may become frustrated or even angry, not realizing that the behavior is caused by brain dysfunction. The best approach is patience and understanding, and to try to guide them gently toward better decisions without causing them distress.
It's tough to watch a loved one struggle with their decision-making ability, but it's crucial to remember that these are symptoms of the disease, not the person's fault. When judgment is impaired, it can lead to dangerous situations, not just for the person but for those around them. So, doctor, what's the final 2 advanced dementia signs that seniors should be aware of?
The final 2 signs of advanced dementia are misplacing items in odd locations and escalating loss of independence. As the disease progresses, individuals may start putting things in places where they would never normally be, like finding their keys in the refrigerator or their phone in the oven. This confusion, while seemingly harmless, signals that the brain is failing to recognize familiar environments and objects, which can lead to further disorientation and frustration. As for the loss of independence, it becomes evident when individuals are no longer able to perform even the most basic daily tasks without assistance, such as dressing, eating, or managing personal hygiene.
Those 2 signs, especially the misplacing of items, seem incredibly unsettling. What does it feel like for the person experiencing these moments of confusion?
It can be very distressing. When they misplace things in strange places, they may not even realize it. Or worse, they may become convinced that someone else has moved the items. This can create paranoia and confusion, which only worsens their condition. As for the loss of independence, it's a painful realization for many to accept that they can no longer do things for themselves.
And this loss of independence can be incredibly isolating, can it?
Yes, it's heartbreaking. When individuals reach this stage, they often feel helpless, and that sense of helplessness can trigger depression and anxiety. Family members and caregivers play a crucial role in helping them navigate this difficult transition, providing support and reassurance that they still matter and are loved.
Watching a loved one lose their independence in such a profound way is difficult, and often family members feel the weight of that burden. But what we must remember is that these signs, though severe, are not a reflection of the person's will. They are a reflection of the disease's progression. As we continue with this conversation, it's important to turn our focus to the positive actions we can take. There are ways to support loved ones through these challenges and even slow down the progression of dementia with the right lifestyle choices and interventions. Let's discuss how we can support brain health and what steps can be taken today to preserve cognitive function for tomorrow.
The key to slowing down the progression of dementia lies in small, everyday actions. Staying physically active, engaging in brain-stimulating activities, and eating a diet rich in nutrients can all have a significant impact on cognitive health. It's not about drastic changes, but rather about consistency, making healthier choices a part of your daily routine.
Such simple yet profound advice, Dr. Hinohara. If you had to leave our listeners with one powerful takeaway today, one thing they can start doing right now to support their brain health, what would it be?
A healthy brain starts with a healthy habit, and every small step you take today creates the foundation for tomorrow's health.
That's incredibly impactful. It's comforting to know that we can all make a difference in our cognitive health, regardless of age. These simple daily actions not only help prevent cognitive decline, but also preserve our independence and quality of life. Thank you for joining us today, and don't forget to share this episode with your loved ones. If you want to learn more about keeping your brain sharp and healthy, watch this episode next. Subscribe, and see you next time.